Maybe live. Okay. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Savvy Women of Social Media and our expert series interviews. And today we are with Noelle Castle, and we're going to be talking about why your digital marketing efforts aren't working and how to fix it. But first, a little bit about Noelle. She owns Castle Media Company and has been a marketing professional and a published author and copywriter for over 20 years. Her work has been featured in both print publications and online media, where she has written on a broad range of topics. She has contributed to the content of several books and currently is coaching several other writers who are in the process of writing and publishing I can't talk, publishing their own books. She understands it's small business and knows how to create brand messaging and quality content that engages the audience. She thoroughly enjoys her life by design on the coast of southern Maine, and you'll find her partaking in all that her coastal community of Old Orchard Beach has to offer. Welcome, Noelle. How are you?
Michelle, I am great. How are you today?
Good.
People can see behind me. We're having a snowy day in Maine.
Yes, and we are as well. So don't worry. You can't see my window, but it's all snow. So tell us a little bit about you and your company and how you got started and why you do what you do.
Okay, sure. So other than, what you just said, I have been a marketing professional for over 25 years. That really dates me, but it's the truth. And I've also owned and operated several small businesses. And but marketing and writing really have always been my love, and they've always been part of what I've done in any job or position I've had. But I've been self-employed for the 25 years. So I always say now I'm ruined. I could never go back to
Me
somebody
too. I will
expecting
never go
me
work for a company.
expecting me at some certain time of day and things. So
Yep.
yeah, and I love to work with particularly small businesses because for one thing, really am in contact with the person usually that is delivering the service or has created the products. And so I feel like I get a real sense of the business. And when I do marketing work and write content for them, I can really pick up the personality of the business, the sort of the characteristics. And I think that's really important, in content, which we'll talk more about in a few minutes. But businesses have to sound like themselves. It's awful. We've all done it. We've gone to a website and it looks or sounds a certain way. And then we talk to the person and
So different.
you feel like, did I go to the wrong website?
Yeah.
So, it's really important to be yourself. So my work lets me do that and help others do that. So that's how I spend my days. And I honestly am grateful and appreciative that I do what I love to do every day. Not every day is fun, obviously, but and it's hard too. It's hard work, as we all know. Anybody who's self-employed, it's tough, but the other side of it is very rewarding. So,
I
um,
agree. It was very scary when I first started my business 12 years ago, I think. And yeah, because you're afraid of, okay, how am I going to market myself? Am I going to get new clients? All that stuff. Are we going to survive?
right.
So what have you learned being a business owner? And then we'll get into the questions, but what have you learned being a business owner that you wish you knew when you first started?
Sure. I think one thing, and it's funny you asked that because I just had this conversation with another marketing person who I work really closely with all the time. And one thing I've learned is that, what goes up comes down. So when you're really busy, you'll probably have a time when you're not. And most importantly, when you're not as busy as you'd like to be, it will come around. Someone I used to work with always used to say, if something will come around. And I used to think, that's just so abstract. How can you say that? But it really is true. And so you've got to kind of keep the faith. It can be very scary. And what I see a lot of new businesses and small businesses do is, jump into something wholeheartedly and it doesn't do what they wanted it to do in the first year or two. And so they get out and they try something else. And you sort of see people that are kind of serial entrepreneurs or serial business owners, and and you certainly should try out what you like. And if you don't like it, I'm completely supportive of don't keep doing it and try something else. But you have to stick with it. You've got to really be confident in yourself and know what you have is a good thing and people need it, and stick to it. And if you do that, it will work out. But if you don't believe in yourself and you don't promote yourself, you can't expect anybody else to. And I think that's another thing that I see, and I'm sure I used to do. It's kind of like, why doesn't anybody want me? And you've got to really kind of be your own best marketer and your own best cheerleader.
Yeah, I
And
agree.
because that builds confidence. When you have confidence, people have confidence in you, and people don't hire somebody that they don't have confidence in, because
Yeah.
confidence means trust and believing, and they can depend on you and things. So you've got to be that for yourself and project that, and then that's the best way to present yourself.
Yeah, I agree because if you're not projecting confidence, like you know what you're doing, number one, that doesn't make you feel good. But yeah, it's not making that other person have that know, like, and trust of you. And yeah, why are they going to want to work with you? So when it comes to digital marketing strategy, what's the number one advantage to having a good one?
So I think, and I should actually have said, I'll just go backwards quickly. So I do all types of marketing, but obviously in today's world, digital marketing is pretty much where it's at and where people are putting their attention and their money. So that's why I picked sort of digital marketing as the topic for today's conversation. And I think the main advantage to digital marketing, and all marketing has this, but digital marketing has a real advantage in that you can really drill down and connect with your audience. It gives us a lot more opportunity. Older types of marketing, advertising and things, as we used to call that, like spray and pray. You just put it out there and you hope, of the 1,000, 10,000 things, one hit person pays attention. And that can be really expensive. Um, and with digital marketing, you can really connect with your audience. If you do your homework and you pay attention, you can make your marketing efforts on the platforms that they're on, speak in the language, so to speak, that they care about. You can really, with email marketing and things, you can get in their inbox. You can really connect more directly with your specific audience. And that's the number one thing you've got to do in marketing is reach your audience, because not everybody wants you. And that's another thing that people have to realize is not everybody is your customer, and
I was
that's
just
fine.
gonna say,
That's
if you
fine. You need to be you only want your customers.
if
So
you don't
you're
know,
not trying to reach everybody, and you're not trying to make everybody happy or satisfy everybody. There'll be people that are not your people.
yeah, if
um
you don't know who your target market is,
and yeah,
then
so
you don't know how to talk to them. You don't know how to use your voice with them. I just did a post on TikTok about target market and asking people who if they really know who their target market is, because with digital marketing and social media, not everybody is going to be on each platform, and you need to know where your audience is.
exactly. So yeah, and so with digital marketing, you can really niche down. You can talk about very specific pieces of your business that you have to offer. You can speak more freely in a lot of ways because you have a lot more opportunities, a lot more volume in digital marketing. Posting on social media several times a week is a lot more opportunities than sending one postcard a month, or being at one trade show. There's this constant opportunity to reach people.
And why do you think people fail at it? Are they afraid that they may sound, I don't want to say stupid, but are they afraid they're not going to sound right, say the right things? Why do you think people fail at it so much?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think that you hit the nail on the head in a way that people do worry about failing, and you will fail. So accept that first of all. There are efforts that just don't work, and there's messages you think are the greatest thing you ever came up with, and they fall flat, which kind of plays into one of the ways that people fail is that they give up too soon. And you've really got to give digital marketing, like any kind of marketing, you've got to give it time. You've got to be stick with it, be consistent, and give it the time, and not bail out. And then also, as you said, know that some things aren't going to work. That's another thing that I see as a big, thing that causes the failure is we all get really attached to our idea or our belief. And it doesn't matter what you think is your best thing. It matters what your audience cares about. So you've really got to take the time. I see people do digital marketing that they haven't really thought about what their audience wants. So you've got to put yourself always in the end user shoes, just like for your website, starting with your website and your social media, you always want to say, like, what value is this offering? Because people don't want to be sold to anymore. They don't want to hear how great you are.
Nope.
They don't even care necessarily what your experience is. They want to know that you can help them. So you've got to, and to tell them how you can help them, you've got to know who they are. So there's a number of ways, to, figure out who your audience is so your marketing efforts don't fail. And some of those are very grassroots, listen to your current customers or ask them. People, we want to really appreciate who is already working with us and understand them. And people love to be helpful too. So don't hesitate to ask. Don't feel like you always have to be, perfect and knowing everything. Go to some of your key customers and say, hey, why do you work with me? What's the number one reason? Or what do you wish I was doing? Or what are still your questions? Or where are you still, wishing you had help? In marketing, we call those pain points. And so you've got to understand what your customer's pain point is, not what your pain point is, but what they actually are, so that you can really solve their problem. And that's how you will be successful in your digital marketing.
And what I do with my clients is I don't manage clients anymore, their social media, but I still have the clients that I have. But I get together with them at least each quarter or a couple times a year, and we go over, okay, what did you find worked this year that you want me to keep doing? And what didn't work that you don't want me to keep doing? And it's really important to keep in touch with those clients so luckily the clients that I have been really good with just letting me take control and run with it. And every so often, I've had one client who I've had from the beginning, 12 years. Every so often, she's a divorce mediator, and she'll be like, I didn't really like that post. Can you take it down? But hardly, because I've gotten to know them. I've listened to them. And also, when it comes to creating content, I'll email my list and say, okay, I'm looking for blog topics. What do you want me to blog about? And that's a way to get that content too. So with blog content, social media content, all of that, what is good quality content?
So, quality content is for for the baseline, of course, is that it is actually literally quality in terms of it's well written, it's proofread, it's grammatically correct. Just because you can shoot out a social media post in 3 minutes doesn't mean you shouldn't proofread it.
Correct.
Because I see a lot of typos, and it's not that I haven't had typos. I mean, we're all going to have a typo or have something we go, oh crap, that link is not a link. But the other great thing with social media, with digital marketing, is you can go back and fix it, which you can in anything print or things like that.
I'll usually catch it after I post it, no matter how many times I read it. Okay, sounds good, looks good, post it, and then I'm like, oh darn it, I missed that question mark or period or word. Like, oh, but at least you can edit it, like you said, which is good.
Exactly. And it's live all the time. So, it'll be right the next time somebody looks at it. So, that's certainly the base, is just make it actually quality. And the second thing about creating quality content is to make sure it achieves your marketing goals, your business goals. So you don't want to just create content or post content for the sake of content. You want to keep in mind that it's doing what you want it to do for you. And the sort of reciprocal relationship with that is that it's giving your audience what the audience wants. So, hopefully that's why you're in business, because you're solving somebody's problem. And so you create content that lets them know how you're solving that problem, or gives them enough, useful information. Again, back to, don't sell to them. People go, one of the number one things I hear a lot, and from my own clients, is, well, I don't want to give it all away. And, you're never going to give it all away. If you're the expert at from, being a service provider to, a product thing. If they could do it themselves, they wouldn't even be like
Exactly.
looking for
There's
you.
so much up here that they're not going to get from you,
Right.
or
And one of
so
the
much
best things,
content that you have created already that they're not going to get from you.
exactly. And, one of the best things you can do is actually share your knowledge, because that's, give them enough information to be dangerous is, they'll quickly see either they don't want to do it. Okay, I really don't want to do this, or I really need this. Or they'll try it, which is also great. If somebody wants to write their own blogs, I say go ahead, because I'm going to look at their website in 6 months. There's not going to be one blog on there. And the ones they'll struggle with it, they'll spend their Sunday afternoon trying to write a blog. So let them try it, let them, right? And
That's
then
me.
say, hey, how's that blog writing going? So it's okay to give some of your information away, because it demonstrates your expertise, and that's, people really want to know that you know how to do it. They don't care how long you've been doing it. They probably don't even care how you do it, but they want to know that you can do it well. So that's a big part of quality content. Let me just look at my note and make sure I hit everything.
No,
Sometimes
I know I got my notes too. Don't worry. Got all my
you got
questions.
to be prepared.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that is the best way to build quality content. And I'm not sure I stressed it enough like I intended to earlier on talking to you, but the consistency is huge. Part of quality content is that it's dependable. And so if people get used to seeing your newsletter every month, or reading your blog, or we all have people we follow on social media, right? And those people are probably posting regularly, and that's A, why we found them and we like them, and B, why we keep getting them in our feed, because they're posting, or sharing information in whatever digital outlet. So being consistent is part of content quality and content success, for sure.
Now I'm asking for a friend. Hi, I'm the friend. So yeah, I post for my clients consistently. Every day they have a post that goes out, and I schedule it. But then when it comes to my content, how do you stay on top of your own stuff to put yourself out there more? Because I know it's a balance for everybody.
Absolutely. And I'll be the first to admit I'm terrible at it.
Me
It's one of my
too.
goals every single year is to do my own work. They say what
Yep,
the cobbler's children have no shoes.
yep.
Because we all, whatever it is, a plumber has leaky pipes, right? Because they're
Mhm.
out every day fixing somebody else's
Somebody
pipes.
else's.
So all I can say is, and this is what I've been struggling with, but my main goal is to treat your business like you're your own client, I
Yeah.
think is, but if you're not a content creator, then the other thing is really just to schedule it. I think time blocking really works well. And, you've got to make that time block for yourself and stick to it. Just like you would if you had a client deadline or a client, meeting, if you had a session with a client or you had an appointment, make an appointment with yourself. And it's just as important to not blow off yourself as you wouldn't, blow off a client. You stick to that commitment. So, but it's very, very hard. I'm not going to lie.
It
That's
is.
why you
Easy.
and I have our businesses, Michelle, because, with what we do, it's very hard to
Yeah.
do it.
Well, hey, we're still successful, right? Thank God. Now, if you're watching this on Facebook, or if you're on the Zoom with us right now, if you have any questions, comment on Facebook. I'm watching both. You're going to see me going back and forth. And if you're on the Zoom, put them in the chat. So the one thing that people ask me all the time, if I know SEO, and I will not touch it. So, what role does SEO play in getting your digital marketing efforts to work, to be seen, all that stuff? Because I hate SEO.
Yeah. So search engine optimization. I mean, I'm probably, most of us know what it is, but search engine optimization is making sure that the down and dirty explanation is you have this business and you're putting out content marketing to promote it. If that content doesn't get in front of anybody, it doesn't matter. So search engine optimization is a part of putting out digital marketing that makes sure it reaches your intended audience. So and that's really part of what quality content is there's got to be an element to your quality that makes sure that it's optimized to be found. So SEO plays a huge role. And um, sorry, I lost my train of thought. I
It's
just want to look
okay.
at it, my notes for a minute. So yeah, so we want to get our content and what we're putting out for marketing to what we call rank. So in other words, to make sure that a search engine picks it up. And how I always I envision this, and so I explain it this way. Like if you think of a river and there's water going down the river, and you've got these rocks kind of at the bottom that are all really smooth. They probably have some moss growing on them or slime, whatever river slime is. And then you've got these rocks that are sticking out that are kind of sharp and stick out at the top that the river, the water kind of bounces over. If you think of that as your content, so if you have content, whether it's on your website, you haven't emailed somebody for a year, your social media posts, your blog dates back to 2018, you're the bottom of the river rock. You want to become a sharp rock that makes the water bump. And that's what search engine bots are. So search engine bots are going through the river of the internet looking for new content. And if your content doesn't pop up for them, they're not going to what we call index it. And this SEO gets very complicated, which is why everybody says, I hate SEO.
Yep.
So I'm trying to explain it. And it is hard. So, we want our content to get what we call index, so that search engines, when somebody plugs in a search query, you want your content to come up in that query. So there's a number of specific tactics to make it do that. But the broader tactic is it has to be currently relevant, which means new. Basically, that's what it boils down to. So if you're not creating content, again, back to that consistency regularly, search engines have no reason to stop by your website. They're going to breeze right past it, like that water floats right over that soft stone. New content is essentially like a jagged rock that makes the search engine bot, and social media platforms have search bots. Everything is a search engine now. So it's not just coming up in Google, it's having your Facebook page come up, especially if you're a local business, reaching people with your emails and things. So that's the main thing for SEO, is to be creating content a lot, not a lot in terms of 500 posts a week, but just consistently. Don't let it go months and months, or even weeks and weeks, frankly, as you know, Michelle, especially with social. And then with the content itself, there are some techniques. And so to get sort of broad stroke on this, keywords are a main part of.
I was just going to ask you about keywords, so you beat me to it.
And I just wrote a blog for a colleague on this. And so if anybody, I can supply some really helpful supplemental information and some how-tos to anybody. If you would like to put your, wave or put your email in the comments on the Facebook page, I will send you some links and some other information, because I just wrote a blog about keywords and about SEO as an overview. So keywords are what we put in a search. So they're keywords, and there's keyword terms, or long tail search terms is technically called. There's two ways to figure that out. One way is to use an actual tool, which is in the blog post I can share, like the Google console. I love Keywords Everywhere. Keywords Everywhere is a free Chrome. It's a Chrome and Firefox add-on. And it basically, anytime you as a person type in a search, it pulls up all the relevant keywords on the right and will tell you the things that we want to know as marketers, how many times those keywords are used, some things about audience details. And those are the things you want to figure out, is what are the right keywords for your business. But honestly, for a lot of us, our keywords we know intuitively what our keywords are. Michelle's is social media strategy, social media posting, Facebook posts, kicking off all the platforms. Mine would be blogging, digital marketing, digital content, copywriting, all these sort of things that are basically my services are, in large part, my keywords, as they are anybody's. So you want to make sure that your content is optimized for those keywords. So if I go in and search for, a social media manager, Michelle has a chance to come up in that search, or another social media manager would. So you've got to be putting those types of words in your titles, in the titles of anything that's digital. So a Facebook post, you'd want those keywords in the post itself. Blog titles, huge. Keywords in your blog title, blog headings.
I was going to say, how important are headings, and which
Very
headings
important.
should you be using? Because I know with WordPress, I create my website in that and my blogs. Which headings should I be choosing?
So your H1 heading is your main heading, which is your blog title or a page name. It's the number one, and you should only use that once, and that should have a keyword in it. So that's the top priority. H2 and H3 are kind of interchangeable. I've talked to several SEO experts, and people think they have to make everything in H2. And this pertains to, the ranking. Heading H1 is the most important, H2 second important, and so on. H2 and H3, it really is fine to use either one. I honestly, I'm a very visual person. So when I post a blog, I hate when a heading is gigantic. And you can have your website person size your headings for you, but keeping it, do it yourselfer. Just, use an H2 or an H3 for the main headings in your blog. And what SEO likes, what search engines like, and if you have like Yoast SEO analytics on your website and on your blog posts, it will tell you these sorts of things. You want to include other keywords in those headings, and you want to break up any long written thing. So even, pages on your website, blog posts, you don't want a lot of running text. After a paragraph or two, you want to break that up, and a heading is the easiest way to do that. So create an H2 or an H3 heading. That really is just like, I use headings as, a question that it gets answered in the next paragraph or two. It could be literally, breaking it out like you would an outline of a subject. I just wrote an HVAC blog on, how to avoid frozen pipes. So my H2 and H3 headings were the different techniques to avoid frozen pipes. So it could be very straightforward like that. Sometimes I'll pull out a key, and you'll see this if you start reading blog posts now and pay attention to the structure, you're going to see this. So, which is another great way to learn how to do digital marketing, is pay attention to other people, especially your competitors. What are they doing? It's probably not all working, but some of it has to be working, or they wouldn't be doing it. So, especially if it's something you see all the time. So yeah, and I meant to mention that earlier too. So, competitors is one of the easiest places to start with ideas and techniques and see what they're doing. So, headings are very important. Once we get down to like H4, 5, 6, I'll use an H4 for like our services include before bullets. So another key point to SEO that you can all do, I'm talking about things that we can all do, because there are very technical things that SEO experts do behind the scenes. And unless you're pretty technically inclined, that's pretty difficult. So I'm just going to talk about things that anybody can pretty much figure out how to do. So your headings are important, and bullet lists are things that break up copy that also search engines like. So bulleted list is another one. And again, it tells the search engine, oh, here's some pertinent information because they pulled it out as a bullet. So you can break up copy sometimes if you have this long paragraph that goes on and on about something, break that into a bulleted list instead of a whole bunch of commas of separated items in a paragraph form. And then on page SEO for a website, it's important to use your tag data, your meta tagging, and your image tagging. And a lot of people don't take the time to tag images, and it's a perfect opportunity to plug a keyword in an image.
Ask you about how important is it to have images in blog posts and the alt tags and all of that?
Yeah, it's really important. So now I've probably said a whole bunch of things that's really overwhelming. So I would say you don't have to go back and overhaul your website this weekend.
Yeah, please
you
don't.
can realize, all right, so I need to be paying attention to this. So either chip away at it, take time block an hour a week to go into your own website and do some of these things, or at least moving forward, know that when you put a new image in a blog post or on your website, and even as your save as images that you might share on social media, save them instead of that image tag on social media being, FQH3579, have it be, I'm trying to think of, I'm trying to think of other examples, because I do a lot with service industries. So
I
I have
do
things like,
actually. If it's when I did my headshots and I uploaded those pictures, I just put Michelle Arbore as the alt tag.
exactly. Perfect. Perfect.
Or now I'm starting to do so. Okay, so let me ask you this because not that I'm still learning about blogging. I've been doing it a while. They have these blog posts where they have the title and then the big image and then the content. How important is that big image? Do you even need it before that content?
You don't need it for sure. And I find it 84% of people look on their phones now we're looking on our phones.
Yeah.
So when you put a giant image in a blog, I'm pulling up that blog and the first thing I see is a giant image. And if I have to scroll too long through a bunch of images, and if you use ads, your ads are then going to come up, I'm going to be like, I'm out of here.
Okay.
So the big image is common and it's not a bad idea. Absolutely make sure, that the image name is a key word because it's right up there in the top, but it's not essential. I think images are useful in blog posts because they're another way to break up running copy, running text, which again is a search engine technique. So with content, we're always sort of straddling making content that's really useful and appealing to our audience and content that's really useful and appealing to search engines. So we're always having to balance. The old way you would see somebody say, like list their service areas out on their homepage or in a blog post. And that's so obviously an SEO tactic and it turns people off. It's almost condescending sometimes to people. Like if I'm looking at a local plumber's site, I know you freaking work in my town. I mean, I wouldn't be looking at your site. So, you've got to be aware of both efforts at the same time. So I try to use SEO tactics that are either invisible or also helpful to the reader.
Now, is there a certain amount of keywords or key phrases that you should have before Google dings you? Does Google ding you for too much that you may be trying too hard?
Google, yes and no is the answer to that question, because Google will, all search engines, when I say Google, everybody, just so you know, we're talking about any search engine because they basically all work the same and they all aspire to be Google.
Mhm.
So, so any search engine and Google, the bots have become very smart. So they know when we're trying too hard. So if you are trying too hard, yes, you will be dinged. But in answer to your question, there's not really too many keywords, but you do want to be specific. Like if you write a blog on a certain topic, use 2, 3, 4 keywords for that subject. If you've got a ton of keywords that a blog or a social media post covers, then that is telling you to break it up into separate posts.
Okay.
That's what I tell myself. If I'm like, oh, this is this, and this, I'm like, oh, that's 3 blogs, not 1. So because and let's circle back to blog post links for people writing blogs, but so be back to the quality, be specific and use the keywords that you're really trying to reach with that specific content. And it should only be a couple. A page on your website should be about 1 service, not about 5 of your services. If you've got a ton of services, you've got to break that down into separate pages on your website, because the search engine doesn't know what it's about. It's got too much. And what are you going to title your page? Services? I mean, you do want your overall navigation to say services, but you want a page that says, social media marketing or blogging or email writing or, marriage counseling versus divorce mediation versus, your different services that you may offer.
Okay.
So yeah, I think, and it's likewise with tags. You want to have just a couple of categories per page and per blog, and you can have quite a few tags. But if you've got 30 tags to a blog, that's too many. That's just you trying to plug everything in, dump everything, and yeah, Google doesn't like that kind of stuff.
So something I've heard, but I haven't noticed this, so I don't know. Let me ask you because you're the expert. They have said, so you can write articles on LinkedIn. And what I typically do for myself and for my clients, I copy and paste my blog post into LinkedIn article. I've heard that Google can ding you with that, but I haven't. So you tell me, is that something that can happen?
I'm so glad you asked that question because this happens all the time. People with not only that's a perfect example, what you just said. I wrote a blog on my website. I'm going to copy and paste it to a LinkedIn article. Um, when you're online, what that is called is duplicate content, and Google absolutely dings sites for duplicate content. I'm not 100% positive on LinkedIn's algorithm, but I'm guessing it would. LinkedIn is a little antiquated compared to other, more robust platforms, but my guess is if they aren't, they will. So you don't want to do that. You want to change it a little bit. So you don't have to do a complete rewrite. Duplicate content penalties is an SEO factor. So you don't want to, you don't want to use the same description on every single page of your website. People will use the same call to action on every single page of their website. You want to change those up. So, if you write a blog on your website and you want to share it on social media or on LinkedIn, just change it up a bit, just change up some of the wording, move things around a little bit. It doesn't have to be dramatically different. It just can't be word for word because the search engine, again, they're smart, but they're not that smart. That's a way to try to prevent plagiarism online is the duplicate penalty issue.
Gotcha. All
Because
right.
we can't copy and paste other people's stuff.
No, 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 definitely not. So, what can people do now to start working to improve their digital marketing today?
Yeah. So I think be realistic is the first. So besides specific things you can actually do is be realistic because I think people decide they're going to do something and they bite off more than they can chew. You probably can't, if you haven't been doing it, you probably can't realistically post to 4 social media platforms 5 times a week. So you want to figure out the main social platform that your audience is on or two and try to post regularly to that. You can repeat posts on things. So you don't have to come up with all the new posts. You can repeat the same post on things, just format it or position it right for the platform. But definitely don't sort of overdo because then people just, then they feel like they're failing and then they stop doing it. I mean, that's kind of the fastest track to failure is to try to do too much. It's like those of us who say we're going to go to the gym 6 times a week on
Yeah.
January 2nd. We're not going to do it. So, but I will walk 3 times a week out my front door. That's realistic. So, definitely choose a couple of efforts that you feel comfortable with to start. Habit stacking, we talk about with a lot of productivity language today, and that really does work. Start with 1 or 2 things you feel comfortable with, whether that's, doing and having an email. If you already have an email list, start emailing people. I mean, that is a no brainer. If you've got an email list, if you don't have an email list, start one. And if you have one, start emailing to them. Even a monthly newsletter, a monthly email it works. They work. The people that I do newsletters for, I see an improvement in all the rest of their marketing because it just completes the sort of circle of communication. So choose a couple of things you feel comfortable with and start there. And then as you get into a rhythm with that after 6 months or so, consider adding a second thing. But if you do too much, you're probably just going to stop it all. So we don't want that. That consistency, make that a major goal that, put that hour in your calendar every Wednesday afternoon or every, I love Sunday afternoons for my own business because it's quiet. It's quiet, I don't like it during football season because I am a football fan, but I do like that, it's just a quiet time. I'm not going to get any phone calls, any emails, and I can just kind of focus on what I need to focus on. So
Mhm.
even an hour or Sunday night, just make yourself that valuable to spend that hour and plan out at least plan it or create some content and get it done.
Now
So
I
that is
use, sorry to interrupt. I use Hootsuite for myself, and I actually
yeah,
have a paid version. But
right.
now the platforms are starting to allow you to schedule. Like LinkedIn, not everybody has it yet, but you're going to be able to start scheduling. What
God.
other tools? What's that?
Thank God. LinkedIn is
I
one of
know,
the things that
right?
because you can't schedule.
You still can't
Um,
do it on a page. I have it for my personal account, but my client doesn't. So once, do you get, I've heard you get dinged if you don't use their platforms. Like I heard Facebook doesn't like third party apps. They want you to schedule right from there. Scheduling makes it a lot easier. But if somebody wants to use a third party app besides Hootsuite, what other platforms have you tried and used?
Um, I don't use another, so I honestly don't know. There are others out there. But you are correct. Facebook is the biggest because they still think that they rule the world. So
Yes.
if they don't like it, you're going to get dinged for it. And if you're not doing what they want you to do, they're going to change the algorithm to make you suffer until you
Gosh.
will,
Yep.
pay for boost posts. Facebook likes money.
Yes.
Facebook likes
Oh my
attention and
God, I
money.
say that all the time. All Facebook wants is your money. That's why
They
it's so
want your money.
hard to promote your business on a business page. I get more interaction on my profile on Facebook, my Michelle Arbore profile, than I do on my business page. And it's crazy.
Um, yeah, I find with business pages do better if the person does well on that platform. Like I have clients, and I'm sure you do, that don't ever get on social media, but they want you to make, they want their post to go viral. And it's like you're not even sharing your own post. So I mean, I can only do so much. So the more active that you are, the better. But definitely, I would say if a scheduler gets it done, use one. It may not have as much traction sometimes as posting directly, but Facebook has a schedule. Facebook Business Suite is a pretty easy to use
It
scheduler.
is.
It's improved. They just had a big upgrade
Yep.
late last year, and so it's much easier. I would say to schedule your Facebook post on Facebook Business Suite for the sole reason of making Facebook happy, because they
Exactly.
will reward you for
And
using their
Instagram as
software.
well. You can schedule
And
Instagram right from
yeah,
Facebook as well.
yeah. So, right, you connect the two and
Yeah.
schedule them. Some things won't be suitable for both. Some things it's gonna come up and say, oh, this can't be posted to Instagram, and don't worry about it. Just keep posting it to Facebook. Figure out something else to post to Instagram. But yeah, I would use the schedulers, but I think things have gotten better with that from what I understand with like Hootsuite, because it's a fact of life that people aren't going to go into every single platform. But if you're taking my advice and only doing one or two, then you can go into those platform schedulers and use them directly instead of paying for Hootsuite. Hootsuite
I'm going to be
is
getting rid
is
of it soon.
costly. So unless you really have a lot of platforms and a lot of posting to do, it's expensive. So
I
unless
think
you're
once my clients get that tool for LinkedIn, I'm probably going to, because I only use it for my clients for LinkedIn. I do the Facebook and Instagram right on Facebook. If they decide they want to use Pinterest, you can schedule right on there as well. So I think once LinkedIn rolls it out to everybody, I'm going to be getting rid of Hootsuite because yeah, it is an expensive tool.
probably,
But
I
the
think you do good.
scheduling options is what is going to help you with your consistency, is what you were talking
Absolutely.
about.
Yeah, you're absolutely good. Very good point that, and I do that. I go in, once or twice a week. And that doesn't mean that when you have a, light bulb idea on a Tuesday, you can't go in and do another post.
Yeah.
The more the merrier.
Yep.
But it's a good idea to get at least like your basic one or two or whatever you decide you want to do done on your weekly, meeting with yourself to get your post scheduled for sure. But and then be patient, because I don't know what you find, Michelle, but I know when you are consistent over time, you will get more and more successful in terms of engagement and response and link clicks and open rates, depending on what you're doing. You've got to be consistent and you've got to have patience, because you're not going to start a YouTube channel with a video today and have 1,000 followers next week. That's going to take you
Gotta take time.
a year or more. I see the year seems to be kind of a magic mark when I start with
Yeah,
new
I
clients.
used to say 6 to 7 months, but now I agree. I think now it's a year. Just the way the algorithms are always changing, and they expect more from you now too. It seems like.
Yeah, and that year will give you time to figure out your strategy better too. So if you're quitting something after a few months, you haven't really figured out if you're doing it right or not. So I know we all like instant gratification, but you're going to have to just trust and believe, and just keep at it because people people get impatient, and it's a downfall for your marketing.
Yeah.
It will make your marketing suffer. And with digital marketing, you get what you give. So the more you're engaged and the more you're doing, the more you're going to start to see results. With social media platforms, business pages do okay, but the more the owner of the business page, like Michelle said, her personal page, the more active you are there and sharing back and forth, the more one will grow the other. And
I sometimes
likewise,
forget about the business page because I don't get much from it. So maybe I got to be more consistent.
well, that's
See,
right.
I know where my target market is, though. I know my target market is on LinkedIn. So to me, the fun ones are TikTok, I'm learning, and Instagram. So I try to have fun with those. But for me, my target market, I know it's on LinkedIn, and that's where I try to put a lot of my time and effort.
But likewise, and I'm sure you do this, to be successful, you also have to be engaged. If you're on LinkedIn, you can't expect everybody to follow and like and comment on your post if you're not following, liking, and commenting on theirs. So, you've got to, the engagement is a two-way street.
Yeah.
And that's what that's our number one goal. That's in closing, or, to sum it all up, like the engagement is what we want marketing to achieve, because that's how you ultimately sell. Selling, of course, is the bottom line. I mean, we need to stay in business. So we want to, have somebody hire us or pay us for our services or buy our product. But the engagement is how you establish that relationship. So that's going to be really the goal. And in today's world, with it being so social and so immediate, that involves you. It can't just be sort of.
Especially since COVID. That's all that we had was social media when COVID hit, right? I talk about know, like, and trust so much that that's all we had when we were going through COVID because we couldn't be face to face. So in order for people to gain that know, like, and trust, you had to be more active on social media. So we have a couple of emails. We got one on the Facebook conversation and one in the chat here at Zoom. And Sue has also said she's still trying to figure out how to best use hashtags. So, what are your feelings with hashtags on social media? What is a hashtag? Because that's something I could teach on too, but she brought it up. So, please, how important is that to digital content, digital marketing?
So good question, Sue. I'm glad you asked that, because it definitely is a thing. It's more important, and Michelle, you maybe chime in here, because you're probably in some ways. I'm not a social media manager. I do social media posting for clients on a selective basis because I don't. It's just not my thing to be posting 8 times a day on 10 platforms. It doesn't. It's not fun for me. I'd rather be writing. So I post. I push out blog posts and do some selective posting. But hashtags are valuable. I think, Instagram started hashtagging.
Yep.
So you definitely want to use hashtags on Instagram. They created them. They like them.
They say about 30, but now they're saying maybe a little bit less. So
yeah, I think less. And again, this is one of those straddling things. As a user, if I see, this for a post and then this for hashtags, I'm kind of annoyed. Like, to me, it's like, what are you doing? Like, are you trying to interest me, or just because as a person, you're not really going to, look at all those hashtags. Hashtags are a way to organize posts. It's a way if you, I'm an admitted Real Housewives fan. So my favorite platforms, if I go into Instagram or into Twitter and search, the hashtag for Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, that's where I'll see the variety of posts instead of just looking up one person. So, instead of following one person, you can follow a hashtag. So that's their intention. so I would use something like a hashtag finder, and there's various free, again, free services. You can Google, hashtag finder, and you'll come up with a couple of, major ones towards the top. Let
Yeah.
me say this too, because if people don't realize this, when you do a search, the first 3 or 4 things at the top are ads. They have paid to be there.
Yes, I've noticed
So
that.
that is not the good results. Like, those are people that are paying to get your attention, which, may be who you want to work with or who you want to use, but at least scroll down through the first couple of pages, because those are actual people like all of us that are having businesses and doing, trying to get online.
I
And
never really used to put the ads first, but now I've noticed the past, I don't know, year, that's all you see now is ad or sponsored or whatever. Yep. And I tried my best not to click on those. I will scroll. And now they don't even do pages on Google. They just keep expanding that page. So, but how important is it to be, how easy is it? Because you always hear, well, I could get you first on the page. I know we jumped from hashtags, but I can get you first on the page. Is that really that easy? Because if it was, everybody would be
That's
doing it.
100% BS. That
Yeah.
is so much BS. Once you have anything online, you're going to start to get the sales, emails and the sales things. It is so hard to get on the first page.
So don't believe it, people.
Absolutely don't believe it. And
Don't pay for it.
the only way that you will get, if you've got a very niched business or a very niche thing you have to offer, you might be able to get on the first page. So you can get on the first page with a lot of effort and a lot of time, and possibly, you might have to spend some money. But the key to getting on any pages is to get those keywords right and to be specific. So, like I just did some work for the Maine pottery tour. So if I put, pottery as a hashtag or a keyword, I mean, I'm not going to get anywhere with that, because there's a bazillion pottery people in the world. So, Maine pottery coffee mug, sgraffito coffee mug. That's a technique in pottery. You've got to niche down. You got to drill down and get more specific. If a counselor just puts counseling services, I mean, that is just too broad of a keyword. You've got to really, niche down into very specific topics or ways that you perform your work within that keyword. So it takes a lot of effort to get up. It doesn't mean it's not worth it, because people will still search. And sometimes you get lucky. I have a couple of blog posts that I don't know how or why, but clearly, like, a manufacturer saw them and shared them, and now they come up I have Googled a topic and seen my own blog post come up, which is way cool.
Awesome. Yeah.
And that's just what, you've got to just keep at it, and it will really work. And there isn't a formula for how it's going to work or what's going to work. And that's why you've got to, keep at it, because it does come through. So, just to make sure hashtags are clear, use useful
Yes,
ones.
Sue brought up, so first she says, haha, we love New Jersey housewives. Yes. I love them all. Oh, well, a few.
I do too. I love them all.
She put, I guess I'm confused how a hashtag will help me. I never search hashtags. So a lot of people do search hashtags.
Right.
So for
Right.
me, when I was on Twitter, I used to search hashtag speaking, because I would be able to look for speaking opportunities. I don't use Twitter anymore, actually. But so for Instagram or TikTok or Facebook, they're somewhat trying to do them on LinkedIn. But if you're looking for a particular topic, so for Sue, I think I know which Sue this is, but Sue, what do you do? But for me, if I was looking for a digital content creator, because I don't like creating my own content, but if I was looking for that, and if Noelle did posts with that and used the hashtag digital content, maybe she came up. I would click on that hashtag and see where it would bring me. So basically, they're keywords, you could say, that people put in posts to get found easier.
Yes, exactly. They're a way to search. So, I mean, I think that's why it's annoying when people like make up their hashtags, like, people will hashtag wish I'd never come to this restaurant. I mean, that's
I've
just
seen
like a way to be venting or commenting in a hashtag format. And that's a waste. That is a waste of time and energy and space. So only use an actual useful hashtag.
Yeah, and it will tell you when you start typing a hashtag how many posts have that hashtag. Like 4.5 million people have already used that hashtag. I don't know if I would particularly use that one. I don't know, Noelle, you tell me your opinion. I think the more it's used, it's going to be harder for you to get found. So you
Yep.
want to try and use hashtags that don't have such a use.
Yeah, that's true. It's back to that sort of niching down because you'll be lost in the sea of, even for your speaker hashtag, there's a ton of things that would hashtag speaker.
Yeah.
So, you might want to see if there's, social media speaker
Yeah.
or digital marketing speaker or something like that.
Yeah. Let's see. Yes, I thought that was you, Sue. So she said, stepped away from business, but just started a supplement that's been helping me, so may promote for health of others. And that's awesome. So you could do, if you wanted to see how other people were using your product and how they were promoting it, you can actually do a search on Instagram or TikTok, hashtag maybe the name of it and see what other people are doing, or whatever that supplement helps with. You could do hashtag wellness or whatever it may be, and just see how other people are using that to promote your product that you're doing.
Yeah, and if you're, for people who are like network marketers or, if you're selling a supplement, they probably have other folks that sell it. They probably have resources for you and you should use them.
Yes.
There's a lot of us are in businesses that may use a product or a service or be part of a network or some type of group that has marketing materials. Use those, take their advice or see what, your colleagues are doing. Look at they should have, a marketing resource area on the main website for their consultants or, whatever sort of structure it is. Be sure to take advantage of those things.
Yeah, because I used to sell Mary Kay years ago, and that's when social media wasn't quite as popular as it is now, but they would give us resources, pictures that they've already created, content that they've already created that you could just copy and paste. So yeah, definitely look at that.
Just be aware of duplicate content. Like take the content, but make it your own,
yes,
because also,
make it
I
sound like
think,
you.
yes, again, back to that, what I said right in the very beginning, and I did want to circle back, is just, you've got to be yourself. You've got to let people get to know you, because that's what people connect with. They need or want your product or service, but they can probably get it from a lot of different places. So you want them to want to get it from you. So you've got to connect with them in a way that they care about. So for you, Sue, it's how that supplement helped you. You're going to have to be very authentic and you're going to have to be vulnerable potentially to share what it really did for you, what your issues or what you struggled with before that now you're not. That's how you were really going to connect with people.
Yeah, and for like Noelle and I, we don't have a product really. We have a service. So it's really important. I teach on this all the time to show that there's a human being behind your brand. They want to see the real you. I was asked recently when I did a LinkedIn presentation, well, how personal do you get on LinkedIn? Because I get personal on my Facebook. I will share some things on Instagram. LinkedIn, it depends on what I want to share. So when I was going through breast cancer 5 years ago, I did put that out there because a lot of people that I knew followed me or saw me in person or whatever. So I did share that, but I don't share a lot of personal things on LinkedIn. But for Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, those are places that you can be really vulnerable and show that there's a human being behind that product or that service.
Yeah, I would agree. And I would agree with that about LinkedIn. LinkedIn, their whole mission, their style is it's a business platform. It's business to business. So it's a little more serious, a little more,
It's changed since COVID. It has gotten more conversational, which I've noticed, which I like. But yeah, it's still business related. It's still the number one professional platform out there. So you got to treat it like that. So to wrap up everything, so you're a small business owner, you're a solo entrepreneur, right? Or do you have a partner that you work with? I forget.
I don't. I have colleagues. I have what I call collaborative partners because I can't do everything. Nobody who does marketing or any business probably does everything, or does it well. So I have a web developer that, she has her own business. I have my own business, but we collaborate because our businesses are very complementary. I have a graphic designer because I'm not a graphic designer. So
So what is one thing that you've learned about yourself by being a business owner?
one thing I've learned about myself, I think that I'm super independent, and I knew that, but I never knew how independent I was until I had my own business. And um, it's the benefit of it is that I am comfortable running my own business and believing, in and not needing sort of the security or all the things that come with working for somebody else. And the downside is it's very hard for me sometimes to pivot. It's hard for me sometimes to pivot when I need to, or listen, to the market or other people, because I'm kind of fiercely independent and I want to do what I want to do my way.
Yeah, your way, right? I
So
get it.
that's all really, that's all sort of, I think the way you are kind of blows up in your face when you have your own business, because it's going to bring out the best and the worst in you, because it's the greatest and the hardest thing you can do. There's a lot of people not cut out to own their own business, and because it's hard. So
How do you find your tribe? Because they always say you should have your tribe. And I definitely found mine during these 12 years, and people have come, people have gone. But the ones that are really want to stick by you have. So, how did you find your tribe?
I mean, a variety of ways. I probably some of the people I've worked with the longest are my original tribe, and still some are, traditional sort of networking. I mean, I think it's important to get out there. I mean, that's how you're going to find people to work with, people that will refer you and hire you, and also people that will become your really good friends, because you've got to have similarities. We all have, our friends are our friends because there's some kind of shared. It's good to have people that aren't like you, but there's got to be some kind of shared value or shared interests and things there. So I think any kind of networking is how I've gotten a lot of my tribe, because we started out, networking and become friends or become closer colleagues. And people will interact with you online. It's kind of a slippery slope, because there are a lot of weirdos online, and
Mhm.
when the more public you make yourself, the more you're going to get some kind of odd emails and DMs and things. But it's also sometimes a way to find somebody that's really a great connection for you, and somebody you really sort of vibe with. So I just and I think it's harder. I'm extremely outgoing, so I talk to everybody everywhere. I mean, I have a tribe member I met at a gas station while we were standing in line, and then we were like, and we wouldn't, we met, and so now we're still friends. So, but and not everybody is like that, and I respect and understand that, but I think you have to be open to getting to know people,
Like
and then
I've
see who
met,
fits. But
yeah,
you also have to be fussy about your tribe,
yeah,
because and maybe that's an age thing. I'm dating myself again, but I just somebody who's, repeatedly negative and dramatic and
yes,
always has a
get rid of the
problem and never asks me anything about myself. They're always about them. I'm just like, eh,
That's why I said
not
people have come, people have gone. But Sue,
that's okay.
I don't even
That's
know how
okay.
long we've known each other, Sue, but it's been a while. And we met through networking years ago. But Sue, we keep in touch through social media or whatever and comment on each other's things. And, we've known each other a long time. But so I want you to post it in the comments on the Facebook page, Noelle, but how can people get in touch with you? Yes, I
Yes,
was pregnant. You're right. Sorry, she just commented. I was pregnant. That was 11 years ago. My son is 11, almost 12. So yeah, it's when I started my business. That
I
is
know, right? Yeah. Yeah, so I do have a website, and I will post the link to it, and I'll post some links to some other blogs in the comments of topics that we've talked about that people can read about. Some of them are with my colleague Millie Welch, who is the web developer, because she's actually we barter, but she is a client of mine, so she gets her blogs written every month.
Millie
like
is
me.
actually going to be presenting on April 20th on SEO 101. So I
So
thought,
Millie will get much more technical
yeah,
about,
so
in a
make
good
sure to
way. I
come back
mean,
for that.
it's SEO is technical, so it's tough to not, you've got to kind of, some people just, glaze over. But there are things that every one of us can be doing for SEO and need to be doing. So, you got to kind of force yourself to pay attention. But Millie can explain things in regular language.
Yeah, she said she was going to. So that's scheduled in April. Well, thank you so much. I have Sue's email. I don't know if you want to jot it down. It's in the chat.
I grabbed it off the chat.
Perfect.
Thank you,
And
Sue.
then Mary Ann posted on the Facebook page that great conversation, helpful content. I have to go. We'll watch the replay. Thank you, Sue, for joining us. Thank you, Noelle. I was so happy that you were able to do this. And if you have any other questions for Noelle, please post them in the comments. I am going to be uploading this to YouTube eventually. I'm a little behind, but I will. So make sure to go subscribe to my channel. And thank you, everyone, for joining us. We will
I
see.
will. Thank you. Yes, thank you, everyone. That was fun to talk to you, Michelle, and everybody. And I will check the Facebook page over the next several days to see if any new things come up. Michelle, let me know if I miss anything, and
Oh,
I will. All right.
thank you, everyone.
Thank you all.
Have a good day.
Bye.
Stay warm.
Bye.
Bye.